Stand by. Shooter ready.
Stand by.
Back. Another PRS podcast episode here, and with me I have Shayne Ward. Shayne, thank you for coming on. You want to do a little bit of introduction on yourself?
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I put me on the spot. I don't know what to say. My name's Shayne Ward. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Born and raised here my whole life. Started shooting PRS, I guess, 2020, 2021.
Okay.
Loving it. I feel like I feel like I needed to say more.
That's okay. So 2020, 2021, man, I mean, that is kind of a ways, a while ago. I mean, as far as PRS history goes, right? Like that's a long time in PRS. So since then, no, last year you had a really big year, right? Shooting rimfire, PRS rimfire.
Yeah, in the first couple of years, I really only shot rimfire. But yes, last year was a very big year for me in rimfire. I, I really, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't shoot a whole lot of rimfire, but I shot the ones that counted, and
Sure.
I made those count. So yeah, sorry, I wasn't planning you to go. I wasn't planning for you to go right into that, but yeah, I won the national finale last year. I guess I'm assuming that's where you're going with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a golden
So
bullet probably there somewhere in your shop, right?
yeah, somewhere in my mess of a reloading room here.
Heck
So
yeah. So you've been, you said since 2020, 2021, you've been shooting mostly rimfire, you said, right? But
yeah, so I think I started. I just went through this with somebody else a few days back. I think the first match I ever shot was the end of 2020, and I shot. Oh, I lost you for a second.
yeah.
I shot one or two rimfire matches the end of 2020, I believe is when it was.
Hmm.
And man, I was instantly hooked. And I decided, I'm gonna. It was just rimfire match, but I decided, man, I really want to make a run at this and see if I could. The goal was to be like top 10 in the region. I thought that was
Hmm.
a good goal to set. And man, um, I feel like a couple months into 2021, I had a 300 and was, obviously tied for first or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm bragging when I say that kind of stuff, but it was just a immediate love, and it turned into really a passion. And moving forward, last year I really kind of took. It was my first year to focus and shoot pro 2 day matches,
Okay.
and that was honestly my focus. Rimfire took kind of a back seat, and I only shot enough rimfire matches to kind of stay in the loop. And
Yeah.
like I said, just happened to win the ones that mattered. And um, man, it really kicked off my, I guess, career, if you want to call
Sure.
it that.
Sure. So that's pretty crazy. So you started in rimfire and then kind of transitioned into some center fire still shooting rimfire, obviously, Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, so I think early on with PRS rimfire, we all had this thought, and for a while I didn't shoot PRS rimfire either. I mean, it's before we owned the PRS and all that. Um, we thought PRS rimfire would be like the gateway to getting guys into the centerfire regional and pro series, and it's not the case at all. A lot of guys, start with PRS rimfire. I mean, you can use the 1022 that everybody has, right? Or you have a more affordable bolt action 22 and a decent scope, and you just go for it. And I think that community we found is different, right? Like it's just a separate community, and it's not necessarily a gateway. There's, I think, less folks like yourself that are like, oh, cool, rimfire's gone really really well. I'm going to try centerfire now, and give kind of both worlds a go, right?
Well, so I think that's interesting that you say that because I feel like I feel like it is the gateway.
Yeah, yeah,
I do. I think that I think there's a handful of guys, at least that I know in my area, that
yeah,
started with rimfire and then transitioned. Ultimately that was their goal to transition into center fire. But
yeah.
um, I mean, I love both of them.
Yeah.
It was shocking for me to hear you say that. Honestly, if you could go back and see my face when you said that, but
That's, I mean, that's so you're the example I think we thought everybody would be. Now it's probably a little bit different in Texas, right? Like the shooting population in Texas is unbelievable for anybody not in Texas. It's huge. I mean, it's rimfire, centerfire, all of it is huge, you know?
yeah, you have to drive a day to get out of our region.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I'll be honest. I love both of them.
Yeah.
Uh, they're two total separate crowds
Hmm.
of the same people. I don't know if that makes sense, but a lot of like-minded people on both sides of it. But there's we have a lot of crossover shooters. I guess there's a lot of guys that shoot rimfire and centerfire in this area. And overall, you know, great guys. It's one of the reasons that I have been, so active in this is, um, man, I've met some of my very best, closest friends now
Yeah.
through shooting this sport, both rimfire and centerfire. And
Yeah.
um, mm, if if I had a choice, given the we have a huge center fire following here in Texas,
Yeah.
obviously, and there's place to shoot, everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
And we do too. We have the same in rimfire, but it's not quite the same. If I could shoot the style of match that I want to shoot in rimfire, as much as I love center fire, I would probably not ever do it because this room right here
Yeah.
is for reloading,
Yeah.
and that is one thing that I do not love.
You don't? Uh,
No, I do not. So
yeah.
I made a post a while back. So there's two types of people in this world:
I remember that.
those that reload to shoot, and those that shoot to reload. And
Yep. Yep.
I reload to shoot. So
Yep. That's funny. And I was telling you this before we jumped on hit record, but so this is my reloading shop as well. And we just I say me and a couple fellow shooters just went through this entire room. It used to be just bare plywood. Now we painted it, put the fancy lights on the ceiling and all that. But we encouraged a lot of the PRS partners to send product so that we could do some fancy photography of product you typically don't see at a match, right? Like if you're talking a MPA chassis or MDT chassis, Manor stock, foundation stocks, or Night Force scopes, Leupold scopes, whatever, right? Like Vortex scopes, all of that is highly photographed, and we give all those photos back to our partners. Um,
right,
but when you're talking about an RCBS rock chucker, you don't see one of those at a match, So
no,
we got a rock chucker here. We started taking photos. We've done a lot of that stuff over the last week or two. But um, man, and maybe it's my engineering manufacturing background, but I love reloading. Absolutely love reloading.
That's I did it first too. I think it was more the thrill of learning something new.
Sure.
But I. I don't know. I think the sheer volume, as much as I shoot, and one of my best friends that I've met through shooting here is Caleb Pulliam, and
Hmm.
he actually does my barrel work and stuff now. And I try to pay him all the time, and he's like, "No, just load me some ammo." I said, "No, I'd rather pay you double for the barrels than
Then
than do
reload.
your ammo." Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But it
That's
is.
great.
Maybe I should just send you some of my brass and stuff, and
Oh man.
that way you could get some good photos.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did. So I reload for locally for a lot of our demo rifles, and I got a pile of rifles chambered in 6 GT, that and I have a lot of brass. It's I probably have 4,000 pieces of GT brass, but it all needs to be sized.
Yeah.
So, so last week we were running things to the amp and then sizing them, and it's like let's just keep it going because the stuff has to get sized, and we need the photos, so let's just keep going.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, let's talk about some of your Pro Series shooting this year. So last year you said you started taking the Pro Series a little bit more serious, started shooting a little more of that, right? And the results have shown, right? I mean, you've had some really good finishes, at least so far this year, right?
Yeah. I had shot a few pro matches, and it was one of those things where it wasn't anything that was planned on. I
Mm.
think I went and shot Collis match with Dan Harride.
Mm.
When the
He's really
match
good
he
at K&F.
won.
He's really good
Yeah,
at K&F.
I actually went and shot that with him because I want to say I took his wife's spot or something, and she wasn't going to be able to make it. And he's like, "Come on, go with me. We'll shoot that." And so I shot one or two a few years ago, but I decided, last year I was going to take it serious and kind of see what I could do. And I think I shot 10 or 11 um, matches last year. Just dabbled in it. But I did well. I mean, I think I had. I don't want to lie, but I think I had 4 or 5 top 5 finishes
Yeah.
in or something like that. But I did well, and honestly better than I thought I could. I I feel like it's one thing that draws me to the center fire part of it is, man, the competition is just crazy.
Mhm.
And it it's almost I've heard some of the really, good shooters say it's almost better to be a little it's better to be a little lucky than good,
Sometimes
so to speak. Yeah, man,
with where you start or wind, all that, yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy. But anyway, yeah, I shot 10 or 11 of them last year, and then had some decent finishes, and then this year, with winning the Golden Bullet and stuff, I
Mm.
had some really awesome sponsors that offered to help me along the way this year. And so I think I'm already 6 or 7 matches in this year, and two top fives. So
Heck yeah. Right.
doing doing I think I'm setting pretty well in points. Goal is to get a bullet,
Heck yeah.
I'm realistic. It won't be the same color as last year, but the goal is to be to get a
top,
bullet.
a top 10 bullet is not easy to do. So,
No.
and it is a heck of an accomplishment.
Yep.
It's interesting. You mentioned like the level of competition between rimfire and centerfire, and obviously, like if you go to a big rimfire match in the country, like that's going to draw a significant number of shooters. It's going to be stacked with competition, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So like an NRL X match, or 22X match, or a USPRA qualifier that's a PRS match. Like those typically draw more and have higher concentration of top shooters. But it seems like and I'm just speaking from my experience locally here. I mean, you go to a rimfire match and there's 10 or 20 folks there. They're just basically to have a good time, and then there's 5 or so that are like, it's going to be me or it's going to be one of those 5, we're going to battle this out for who's going to win this. But it does feel like it's like the competition's still there, right? But it's fewer numbers, and it's the rest of the folks there are casual and just having a good time, which I think is is a bonus to rimfire over the centerfire side, because it feels like maybe it's the cost of entry per match, and you get the match fee, and even reloading, you're still $100 into a 1-day match,
Yeah. Yeah.
but people take themselves and the sport maybe a little bit more seriously on the centerfire side of things across the board. I'm not saying that's a really general statement, but I think that's one of the appeals for me in rimfire is like it feels like a darts league or bowling league or something like that, where you're just there and hey, you're there with the boys, and some of their wives, and you're just hanging out and having a good time. You can have a casual conversation and really enjoy each other's company, and and that's kind of what it's all about. Yeah.
For sure. I see that too. I agree with everything you said there. And I tell you, me when I started traveling and shooting, trying to do well at the 2 day matches, it made I used to take the regional centerfire match, and that was my be serious, gotta
Yeah.
go win those. And rimfire kind of took a backseat to that, I guess. But now that I'm shooting 2 days, even a centerfire regional is hang out with your buddies and
Hmm.
test things, and rimfires even it makes it's been a positive thing though, because I take a lot of pressure off of myself to perform, and that usually, as weird as that sounds, that helps me in many
Yeah.
ways, so
Yeah.
t- but
So some of my best matches I've ever had is where I blow up on stage 1 or 2 and like throw the whole match away and like, well, here we go. And then at the end of the day, I'm top 5, and I'm like, man, I wish I could take back that first stage. But if I didn't, let's say I shot well on that first stage, then I take the whole thing serious. It's not fun. I typically drop points. It's you kind of have to be a little bit laid back and casual.
Yeah,
In the group.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you can take the pressure off yourself, it's better it's better for you and those around you. I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got a question for somebody who obviously has done really well in both disciplines, centerfire and rimfire. Are there um, are there complementary things with shooting both? That you find, are you a better rimfire shooter for having shot centerfire? Are you a better centerfire for having shot rimfire? Is there things that you can take from each discipline that supports your overall shooting ability?
Yes. Um, I would say that transitioning into center fire from I was a I would consider myself a very good rimfire shooter before I really got into shooting center fire. And it wasn't like I had never shot center fire rifles. I just didn't compete in
Mm-hmm.
PRS. But when I went to start shooting center fire, the wind was, man. People that start shooting, if you just start shooting center fire, and let's say you have some decent fundamentals and you can hold a target, and
Mm-hmm.
if there's no wind, you can hit it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the wind part for me was super simple. Um, I think there was some. I think I struggled a little transitioning to center fire with recoil management, because all the bad habits of rimfire will teach you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not a small guy, but um, holding on to one of those rifles and then seeing where you hit it, at 350 to 400 yards. The further you go, obviously it's easier, but it's not. It's not even about being big and strong. There's some technique to
There
it,
is.
and fundamentals, and so yeah, I think for sure, rimfire taught me um, wind, and
Mm-hmm.
that was an easy transition. And I think centerfire. Once I really learned to control a centerfire rifle and actually see where I'm hitting on plate, I see so much more now when I shoot my rimfire rifle,
Okay.
that it was honestly a game changer, and it let me go on to win the nationals last year. Is don't overthink it, just
Mm-hmm.
make a good enough call to get on plate for the first shot, and watch it from there. And I feel like I can. The 22 is in slow motion going to the target now if you shoot enough center fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they both help each other for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So, um, yeah, the recoil management and training your eye, and this took me probably 4 or 5 years to finally get right where like, and I was shooting all different kinds of rifles and stuff, and finally settling in on a heavier, rifle, light recoiling rifle where it's just training your eye to see what it needs to see, right? And then finally when
Hmm.
it clicks, like you just start seeing everything. But yeah. Yeah, and you deal with a lot more wind with rimfire, right? And I have you found yourself like picking up on the nuances of what's going on at the range, like either with mirage or what you feel with wind? Like, what is it about rimfire and judging the wind and whatnot that you've picked up on?
Um, I think to be, and there's some very, very good shooters here in this area.
Hmm.
And to be a top rimfire shooter here, you have to learn to read mirage, and that forced me to you know you have to pay attention to everything. I mean, I'll give you an example. The first rimfire match I ever won was at Dustin Watts range at Falbore.
Hmm.
And that morning there was, man, I want to say it was like 19 or 20 mile an hour full value wind from 3 o'clock at the zero board.
This is for rimfire.
Yes, for rimfire.
Whew.
And so when I tell you this, you're not going to believe me, but I got to the zero board that morning and I pulled the Kestrel out, spun it up and holding it into the wind. And I'm like, ooh, that does like 1.2 mils,
To 50 yards.
50 yards. And so I dialed a mill. I didn't even believe it, but I dialed a mill on and shot a couple shots. And I was like, man, the group's forming 2/10 to the left. Wow. Okay. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and I watched all these guys show up and get out of the truck, and they're shooting. He had a board down there, and anybody that shot on the left side of the board was missing the target completely. And they're all adjusting their zeros, and I'm thinking, man, these guys are gonna have a bad day. They were anyway. But where
yeah,
I'm going with that
yeah,
is,
yeah,
when are you ever going to see a mill at 100 yards with a centerfire
yeah,
rifle? It's
yeah.
not going to happen. But you have to pay attention to every little thing, every little detail. The one thing I don't like about rimfire is you get what we call rimfired. You're not loading the ammo, and so you'll get a flyer here and there. And I do some training and stuff, and I try to tell these guys, was it you that influenced that shot, or was it the rimfire? And like in
Yeah,
center fire, if you send a shot down range and it misses to the right, you better be correcting to the left.
yeah,
And
yeah,
in rimfire, sometimes I'll send that same shot because I don't think that was me, or I don't think that was the wind. So
yep, yep.
I I got mixed up where we were going with that, but
No, that's all good. That's all good.
it's it's something you have to be on top of every single shot with the wind. And so
So you're watching in rimfire. You're watching mirage shot to shot to shot. I mean, you picking up on what you feel. Like, is it? I mean, you take the shot. You're holding the trigger, follow through, watch the bullet. I mean, you're taking it all in, right?
yes, you don't have to watch it shot for shot. I'm not going to say that, but there is stages where yes, you do.
Hmm.
When you got a headwind or a tailwind and it's flipping, um, eh, let's say you're shooting a stage that's 200 yards long with a rimfire,
Right.
and you've got a 12, you got a wind that's coming 11:30 to 12:30, and at 200 yards, a 5 or 6 mile an hour wind.
Yeah.
That's a lot with a rimfire. I don't have a Kestrel in front of me, but you could be
Yeah.
you could need 5 or 6 tenths left,
That's
or
a half mil.
3 tenths, 2 or 3 tenths right.
Yeah.
So that takes you off a target, and if you're not watching that that mirage, and trying to catch the change, it'll drop a point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh,
Man. All right. Let's talk about this upcoming June match. The promotions online are hilarious, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on for a podcast. 'Cause you're
uh,
calling everybody out. I love the call out to Austin Bushman too, where it's like, come on, don't be afraid to come shoot some rimfire with us, right?
yeah. So Austin, I'm going to give him a little crap. Austin, I love Austin. I don't know him super super well. I
That's why you
honestly
still
don't.
love him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, I honestly didn't know him good enough to mess with him at that level, you know. But I shot Box Canyon with him. I guess the weekend or the weekend before that video come out, and he I was aggravating him like come shoot that Bergara match, and long story short, he kind of leaned over and told me, he goes, hey. Uh, I shot some rimfire early on in PRS, but I don't really want people to know that, you know. And but yeah, that's kind of where all that got going. And that's then with him working with CRB and him posting groups, that he shot online and
Yeah,
stuff. I had to poke at him, but
absolutely.
there's a lot of guys that believe it or not, this match is drawing some centerfire shooters to
Heck yeah.
come shoot this for, it's gotten some guys that have went out and bought rimfires and started practicing with them just to come shoot this match. So that's
Awesome.
huge, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what we need.
And a lot of those guys, I 100% believe that most of those guys will have so much fun doing it
Hmm.
that they will be,
They'll stick
maybe
with it.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, that maybe they won't be their main shooting sport or whatever, but they're going to come back for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but anyway, the match we're talking about is at Gravestone. That's the Bergara Best of the West. It's this is it's been something that I've wanted to do honestly for a couple years and never really had the time or the means to do it.
Hmm.
Ultimately, this big payout match was something I wanted to do. I have a little private range a few minutes down the road from Gravestone, and I always wanted to do it there. But with me starting, on the Rimfire MD there at
Hmm.
Gravestone, and Jake's built us a phenomenal place to shoot, and it just all worked out where we're doing this, and Bergara come on board early on, and gotten quite a bit of sponsors involved in it, and I'm hoping to be um, I'm hoping to make it the biggest paying rimfire match ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're close. We're real close. If anybody's watching this and wants to be a part of the biggest match, get with me. I'd
Heck yeah.
love to. We need to sell a few more stage sponsorships. So,
Yep.
but anyway,
What's the date of the match?
it's June 14th,
June
and
14th.
yeah, June 14th,
About a
and
month away from when this goes live. Yep.
yeah, and it's actually sold out. With man, the we're limited it to 120 spots because 12 stages with 10 shooters is a day full,
Hmm.
you know. Especially rimfire shooters, and they got 19 strollers and their wagons, and
Tons
no,
of
I'm giving,
bags. Tons
yeah,
of
I'm giving,
bags.
yeah, they got a bag for every position they're going to be in for the whole day. But it's going to be a full day. So we had to limit it somewhere.
Yeah.
Without building, a bunch more stages and making it crazy. And we wanted to keep it all in one day. And I think it's going to work out. But it sold out about a month ago, and
Heck yeah.
I think we have a couple squads worth on the waiting list,
Dang,
and
man. Yep.
but we got guys coming from Canada.
Awesome.
There's guys flying from Australia, and I mean Steiner, Matt Stein, I call him Steiner all the time.
You know.
Steiner's coming down. I think Greg Stewart was. I think he was too chicken to come down and get beat by the Texas boys. But
So
there's guys coming from four corners of the United States. It's a pretty awesome deal.
heck yeah. I want to point out something too. I talked to Steiner this morning. I talked to Stewart this morning. I talked to him and Steiner kind of regularly, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to have a podcast coming up with Shayne," And I go, is there anything you need to talk about? And both of them were like, you need to give him shit about his glasses. So, so I want to point out, and they don't know this. The only time I wear glasses is at night when I'm driving. But literally, when I went to go buy glasses, I'm like, what would Shayne Ward get?
Oh wow, look at
It's
those. Man, you're instantly
pretty,
sexy.
pretty close, huh? Isn't it?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Yeah, the funny I didn't even know Steiner that well, but we shot the squad one and the nationals together,
Yep.
and it was funny, man, because I'm kind of sweating and I take my glasses off and I go to wipe and he goes, dude, watch out. You're there was there was a guy
Funny.
in our school. There was a guy in our squad that had his wife was there and had a baby. And Steiner goes, "You're gonna burn the baby with those."
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
So yeah, everybody gives me shit about my glasses.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it. I'm a welder by trade, and
Yeah.
I'm legally blind without these. That's for sure.
That's all good. So yeah, when I went to get new glasses, this is sometime late last year because HSA or whatever our funds are that roll over every year, and like if you don't pay for it or if you don't use it, you lose it for the
Yeah.
year. So it's not gonna miss you. I'm like, I need to I should go get my eyes checked and get some new glasses or whatever. And and I remember Steiner harassing you about your glasses. And I'm like, I think that's a style I want to go with. And you know who else has
Oh,
them? Mike McDaniel. He's a coach for the Miami Dolphins.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. I don't.
they're popular. That's okay. But
Yeah, I dig them, man. There's several other shooters that have complimented me on them, and I see them wearing them now too.
okay,
So they're
okay.
better. They're better than. I
Bushman,
mean, if you got to wear glass,
they're better than
at
Bushman.
least at least I don't look like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh man. Yeah, yeah.
But
So
no,
So I
go ahead.
want to ask you. You said welder by trade, and I know there's some race car stuff going on too, right? I've seen. Yeah, I've kind of. You always poke around somebody's Facebook profile when you find them interesting, right? And I see the race cars and stuff like that. Like, tell us a little bit about that background and where you're at with all that stuff.
Yeah, so I raced for a long, long time. Most of my, I guess, off and on, most of my adult life.
Okay.
I drag raced
Sure.
cars and um, traveled around doing that. And I started a metal fabrication business in 2007. And
Okay.
back then I was doing like custom handrails and staircases and that kind of stuff. And got into I'd always been into hot rods, fast cars, anything that had a motor, I was into it, and got about the time the street outlaw thing was getting big. If you know anything about
Yeah.
that, I knew a lot of those guys before the show ever came on, and anyway, I got into. I had a turbo Mustang and with street racing, doing hood rat stuff, and started traveling around to all these no prep races, and man, I won a bunch of them right off the bat, and did real good with that. And I started asking, what who was doing the work on the car, and uh, long story short, that part of my business got slow, and people were asking us to work on their race car and stuff, and now, man, I turned a hobby into a full-time job.
No joke.
I got a business partner in the deal, and we have a guy that's super super talented that works for us also, and that's what we do every day is we build race cars. Some top, we build cars turnkey, or you can bring us your existing car, if need changes or um, ex- turbo kits,
Okay.
exhaust, all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, we've do chassis work. Uh, you name it, we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got guys actually bring cars to us from all over the United States. We're a small shop. Don't plan on probably ever getting a whole lot bigger than what we are. But we do really, really good work, and have some great customers. So it's something I don't care much about the racing anymore. People always ask me, I have everything to build a car again right now, and uh, not anytime soon. But I still love what I do. Pays the bills
Yeah.
and lets me go shoot.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I know quite a few guys that are shooters that are also car nuts, right?
Hmm.
Maybe didn't get fully into racing and all of that. What is more expensive, shooting or race cars? Oh, the fact that you're taking too long to answer
No,
that has me
I mean
nervous.
it's race cars for sure, but
Yeah.
there's levels to all of it, you know.
Yeah.
And something I didn't know. Um, I know Keith Baker
Yeah.
and Andy.
Andy Slade. They're both in
Yeah,
it.
Andy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, they built drag and drive cars, and so they went and did. I think it's Sick Week or something. We've
Yeah.
built a couple. We have a customer that we built a truck for Sick Week, and
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly what class it was, but he went out with it his first rattle out of the box and won sick week in his class, you
No
know.
joke.
So and I know that's what Keith Baker
Yeah.
and Andy were doing, but I've
Yeah.
never even talked to either one of them about cars or anything, you know.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, like we'll be shooting or something and somebody will say something about race cars and oh you need to go ask Shane about that, and somebody will come ask me about race car. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I change oil for a living. I hate talking cars with people. I tell them I just change oil. I don't even know. So, but when you do it for as
Yeah.
long as I have, and 20, sometimes you work for yourself. You're never off, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you do it 24/7. Well, you know how it is. If I want,
Yeah.
do you want to when you get off work? Do you want to talk about PRS?
Prefer to hang out with the family and throw the ball with the sun, you
Yeah,
know, have dinner, do that type of thing. I mean, I love when I travel for a match, like I absolutely love being removed from my normal life and like, hey, we're all out at dinner and we're talking things like I love that. But when I'm
yeah,
when I'm home, or like at the end of the 4 o'clock or whatever, I sign off for the day, but close the computer. Like, uh, I mean, I do enjoy reloading. I do enjoy like working on the rifles and stuff like that after hours, that type of thing. But yeah, I like shutting it off. And
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah. PRS is still it's still my shut off. I mean,
Hmm.
that's when I go to the range, and I spend golly, I spend a lot of time at Gravestone now. Um, with doing one weekend a month is dedicated to rimfire.
Hmm.
And I haven't even shot it other than I've shot two of the matches there at Gravestone, just kind of training new
Regional.
people, trying to bring new people into it. Uh, but didn't take a score kind of thing. I haven't even had a chance to go shoot a rimfire match.
Oh man, yeah,
So it's it's that's and I don't want that to turn into I don't want it to turn into a full-time job, but it's I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's a lot of fun. And it's
yeah,
still my release, and I don't want to make it not be. So
yeah, yeah. I absolutely love this. I mean, having the opportunity to have conversations like this, or get to meet up with guys like yourself at a match, especially when I travel out of my region for a match, like I really enjoy that aspect of it and having relationships all over the world, honestly, and getting to hang out with folks, and it's an awesome community to be a part of, and I'm honored to be in the position I am, to be able to do this. But yeah,
yeah,
there's a time where I'll give him a shout out, so to speak. Like Prentice is calling me at 6:30 at night. I'm like, nope, send that to voicemail. I'm not talking to Prentice right now, you know. But then he'll call me
he
well
calls
in the
me
morning.
at 6:30 every morning. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he'll call me in the mornings too, and that's fine. Like I like talking to Prentice, but there comes a time where if it's an evening and there's stuff going on, like I'm gonna like I'm at my kids' baseball practice, like I'm gonna be focused on coaching their team.
Yeah, you have to. And that's where I got with my business too, is the first couple years that we were doing this, I did all the office work and,
Oof.
ordered all the parts and
Yeah.
then tried to be in the shop fabricating and all that. And
That's
man,
24-hour day job.
I tell you, a couple years ago, it was about to
Hmm.
just going to put me in the grave. And I finally, I said, thankfully, I have an awesome business partner with this, and I told him, I was like, man, you've got to take some of this. I'm sure he's about ready to give it back to me or give half of it back to me,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
been handling most of the. I'll just stay in the shop and work kind of thing, So he handles all the customers and the billing and all that stuff now. So,
Yep.
but man, I wouldn't change anything. Getting to do what I do,
Yeah.
and then work with two of your best buddies every day is pretty awesome.
That is cool.
We work crazy hours, four o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But so like when you texted me last night, I was already in bed.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I'm off on Fridays and I get to go shoot, so
There
that's a
you
good
go.
thing.
That ain't bad. That ain't bad.
No, it's not bad. Not bad.
Yep. Yeah. But I'm sure like anything racing, right? There's a deadline coming. Like it has to get done for this weekend, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're pushing, so that Thursday afternoon you're doing everything you can to get that thing done, right?
Yes, and racers have no boundaries. They're out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in the shop grinding to get ready, and
Mhm.
they've it's okay for them just to text or message you.
Yeah,
They,
no joke.
at least they think that anyway.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Man, that's cool. All right. I know you don't want to talk cars too much, but I want to know like the Mustang that you started with. What were the specs on that?
oh, man, which time it had 3 or 4 different motors in it.
Well,
When
you're
it was
you're I'm imagining a Fox body for some
Yeah, it was
reason.
a Fox
Yeah,
body.
you look like a Fox body kind of
Thanks.
guy.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yep. They Beamer's the
Uh,
Fox body kind of guy too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I actually knew of Beamer and knew about Beamer before shooting. So
No joke. Yeah.
yeah, he's got matter of fact, I think one of his buddies, I'm not gonna even get into this conversation, but one of his buddies has got cars and
Yeah.
does some fabrication work or something too. I feel like I've had an internet argument with a guy before about fabrication practices, but anyway, all in
Yep.
fun. And that's kind of where uh, all of the promotion stuff for uh,
Oh, for the matches. Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of that's come from my grudge racing background
Yeah. Car
and
scene. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of man, grudge racing was, for those that don't know, grudge racing is basically two cars line up and bet as much as much money as they can afford, and it usually starts online, and much shit talking ensues for several weeks, and uh, but yeah, it's that's kind of where I've seen all the promoters do all the stuff for race cars, and that's kind of where everything goes from there, or where I've gotten a lot of the ideas.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, but so my car, the last motor that was in it was all billet, small block Ford, 118 millimeter turbo, and I think, man, I don't want to lie, but it made a little over 2,500
Oh my
horsepower at the
God.
wheels. Um, it we'd never got that car to go is to its potential with that motor. We went low 4 second passes in the eighth mile. So it went.
And
I
this
think
thing
it went.
is it streetable?
No, not at that level.
Okay.
It wasn't. I mean, it was on alcohol, no radiator.
Yeah.
But but it was. I mean, it went 100 and I think it went 182 miles an hour in the eighth mile. So,
8 mile.
and you know, 4.19 or something, like 4.17 seconds, I think was the fastest pass we made. But that's been a few years back now. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could climb in one of those cars and make a pass like that anymore. You have to train your, you know, they pull 3 Gs off the starting line, so I'd probably pass out. I turn. You have to
Hey,
kind of you have to work yourself up to that. You know, it's been long enough that, and they're the whole thing with drag racing is you're supposed to go in a straight line, and I kept having those walls jump out in front of me, so you
yeah,
crash one once or twice. I hit the wall at 160 plus miles an hour in New Orleans, and that'll shake the drag racing out of you for a little while.
yep,
So,
yep.
but
I know PRS isn't. I mean, you have to be a little bit agile, and there's some movement and stuff in it. But man, there's rarely any circumstance where you're putting yourself in that much pain or that much hurt or falling down or
yeah,
like hitting a wall at 160. Man,
yeah,
man, that's awesome, man. It's cool to hear. It's cool to hear backgrounds from shooters, right? And I knew there was a car scene in your history there. I didn't realize that was your everyday job, man, building race cars. So that is cool.
yeah.
It
I'm
may
very.
not seem cool, but it is cool.
Oh, it is. I do. I still believe it's cool. I mean, I actually live. I'm in an airplane hangar right now,
Oh,
and
cool.
so I'm in the top of it, and
Okay.
got a 3,200 square foot house up here, and
Yeah,
my shop's below it. So
that's awesome.
I'm lucky enough to get to do something I love and
Yeah,
be able to walk downstairs and go to work.
that's cool.
Is That's a blessing for sure.
Yep, yep.
So
And get to compete on the weekends, 3-day weekends. Like you got a pretty good thing going, man. That's cool.
yeah, man, I can't. There's no complaints. No complaints.
Well, do you have
So,
do you have any shout outs or anything here before we end things?
man, you should have texted me that so I can think of it. Uh, I want to
Always,
shout out
always
to,
start with your wife. I've learned that lesson.
yes, that, yeah, my wife is, she's the number one supporter. She actually goes to most of these matches, and she's traveled all over the country with me the past couple of years shooting these, and she shot a little. There's a matter of fact, there's a top lady there from Gravestone. She shot a little. She's not competitive. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body, except for when it comes to me.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, she's my number one supporter.
That's cool.
I want to thank MDT and
Yeah.
Sierra for all their support this year, and couldn't do it without those guys.
Heck yeah.
And Gravestone, Jake Graves and Mandy, Jeremy, all the whole gang there, definitely made a lot of us in North Texas better shooters by opening that facility and giving us all a place to enjoy what we love. And
Yeah.
I want to shout out to Ken Wheeler for continuing the PRS.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And it takes all of us. I mean, you're a regional director as well, regional rimfire director and match director, and man, we can't. It's a community keeping this thing going. So
Yeah, it's great people, man. I say this a lot, and I'm going to say it again. Man, I've met some of my very best friends doing this. I wouldn't ever change this for the world. Regardless of what I do 20 years from now, I know I'm going to be friends with a lot of these people, and
mhm,
it's uh, s- it's a great community.
it is.
So I'm glad to be a small part of it, and just hope it continues to grow.
Heck yeah. Thanks for coming on, Shane. Good talking with you.
I I appreciate you, man. Take care.